Mr. President, you won the White House in part because of high inflation. If your tariffs make prices go up...
Excuse me, we haven't asked you to speak yet, please. Right? This should have been done by Biden years ago. This should have never been allowed to happen. I know he's a friend of yours.
But couldn't Putin just withdraw his...
He's a friend of
today?
CNN. That's why nobody watches CNN anymore, because they have no credibility.
President Trump giving it to CNN's Caitlin Collins there. Oh, I love it. Welcome back to Sunday Agenda. Even President Trump himself has clearly having to deal with some media madness. So how could we not join in on the fun? Joining us this week is entrepreneur and host of the Amy Robbins Show, the one and only Amy Robbins. Also with us, Republican strategist Whitley Yates. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us today.
So, Amy, what did you think about that? Caitlin Collins being put in her place. I think the whole reason as to why they now split up her duties from hosting her primetime show to now being in the White House press briefing room is to antagonize the president.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is actually the kind of stuff. When is the last time that you had an administration where people were actually tuning in to see the drama that was going to be going on at a White House press briefing? I mean, it's actually quite entertaining to watch. But I was looking into some of Caitlin Collins' ratings over the last several months. And honestly, the Food Network itself would be better off sending a correspondent to the White House, because they seem to have better ratings than her show does on CNN, which is just insane. They're trusted more on the Food Network than Caitlin Collins. But when you have somebody that is just continue to interrupt during these, she knows the procedures and she's not following those rules. And, you know, she just continues to commentate and give stories in a very biased perspective. So it's absolutely there's no doubt in my mind that President Trump is having fun with this. And he's just continuing to point out that, you know, she's right. Like the ratings are horribly down on CNN and nobody trusts them anymore.
I mean, and they need to accept reality. This is what a real leader looks like, right? They've had to deal with a corpse, basically, for the last 4 years. Now, one of our favorite forms of media madness is the fake news. And this week, we got a good one from, of course, MSDNC. The overly paid Rachel Maddow tries to get, she's like, I got a gotcha moment on Elon Musk, because, of course, now he's a target of the left. And it backfires rather dramatically.
Elon Musk has apparently somehow convinced the United States government, specifically the United States Department of State, that the taxpayers of the United States of America should spend $400 million buying, quote, armored Tesla production units.
Whitley, as you well know, this deal was cut by Joe Biden. So, I mean, and she's ridiculous. The fake news knows no end.
The only thing more bulletproof than Rachel Maddow is the fact that she inconveniently forgets the facts. The truth is that the Biden administration wanted to spend $400 million on these bulletproof Teslas. And so trying to pin that on the current Trump administration is not only laughable, it's completely a fallacy. And so the fact that she couldn't even fact check herself when her agency is so keen on fact checking Trump is also just part of the fake news fallacies.
You know, Amy, over on The View, and you might not know this, Whitley probably does, I've said this, I was an intern at The View once upon a time. Barbara Walters, she would probably be in shock right now. She's probably rolling in her grave like a rotisserie chicken to see what a Costco chicken, right? You know, they roll around like that. Over what has become of that show. Sunny Hostin, she's, I think, one of the biggest offenders, this time throwing out a conspiracy theory on why the Trump administration is going after the DOE, the Department of Education.
It's not really about saving money.
No.
I think there's a much more nefarious reason for it. I think it's because without education, you get cheaper labor. Yeah. I think what they want to do is create in the United States a permanent underclass, a permanent cheap workforce, because educated workers cost more. That is the bottom line, and that's what they're doing.
My God. Does her butt get jealous of the stuff that comes out of her mouth? I mean, really? They're the ones that want the two-tier class system. Amy, what do you think?
Well, first off, Lydia, we say this every time. I feel like there's a View segment on this show, but without the View, we wouldn't have a Media Madness segment. So, you know what? I'm very thankful to them that they just continue to spew this ridiculousness. But imagine finding yourself fighting for things that you actually know nothing about. They seem to have a very short memory when it comes to who actually controls the curriculum in this country. And that's at the state level. So the fact that we are reducing some of the money that is flowing through the Department of Education actually has nothing to do with the curriculum that's being taught at the state level, and therefore has nothing to do with what these kids are being taught. So if you have a problem with it, what Sunny should have said is that we need to actually get back to overseeing what's being taught at the state level. And, you know, but they're just not going to be factual about any of this because they love to spew these ridiculous lies so people tune in, and then we talk about it on the weekend.
Exactly. Whitley, we have to go, but I want your thoughts on the View there. You think there'll ever be any accountability for the lies? I mean, so much misinformation that they spew. It's ridiculous.
No accountability when you have hosts parading as activists. That's right. That's activism mixed with acting. And so, no, I don't. But I can't think of a more bigger underclass created than eliminating school choice from our school system.
Amy Robbins, Whitley Yates, thank you. Beautiful ladies. Am I allowed to say that? Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Gorgeous. All right.